feeling my way through the dark.
It has been a comic book store, music store, and a drugstore. It started off as Baum's Drugstore in about 1925 and eventually changed to Optenberg Drugstore after 15 years. Both of the drugstores were a big hangout for kids after school, and one of the number one reasons was because they sold chocolate Coke, and they also had a soda fountain. It then shifted into a music store, and its name was Bayhoff's White House of Music from 1940 until in 2006 it shut down. And then it changed into what it is nowadays, Cowabunga Comic Store. Nowadays, the comic book store is not as big of a hangout, but they still have a lot of interesting things. They have a full slate of exciting tournaments and leagues all weekend. On Sundays, they have HeroClix tournaments at 12:30. On Fridays, they have Friday Night Magic, which is a card game. And finally, each and every Saturday, they have Pokemon League. But sadly, the owner of the store is stepping down, so they will be closing down shortly. But the good news is, some longtime customers might be interested in maybe buying it. Now, their hours are as follows. Closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesdays and Thursdays, they're open from 12 to 6. Friday, 12 to 9. And lastly, Saturday and Sunday, they're open 12 to 4.
This corner started its long journey in 1859, being a bank called Summit Bank with $25,000 in capital. The bank was located at the site of the old Oconomowoc Library on North Lake Road in Oconomowoc. The bank is very historic, being the community's first bank, while it opened 15 years before Oconomowoc was a city. The bank moved to the corner of South Main Street and East Wisconsin Avenue after surviving an unsuccessful burglary in 1868. The picture here is when it moved onto the corner. The bank is off to your right and is across from the Majestic Hotel. The bank renamed to the Bank of Oconomowoc in September of 1889, while it had $50,000 in capital. The second picture is a bit later, around the 1930s. You may be wondering why there is a thing in the middle of the street. It's because Wisconsin Avenue had lost the trees, but electric lights and a traffic signal had been added to aid traffic on the brick streets. This bank is very unique as it installed the very first TV drive-in unit in Wisconsin in 1963. In the early 1980s, the bank changed its name from the Bank of Oconomowoc to the First Bank of Oconomowoc due to the fact that it is and remains the oldest and the first bank in Oconomowoc. In October 1985, the bank moved from its corner location to its present location at 155 West Wisconsin Avenue. From 1994 to 2008, the bank opened 6 retail branches and 2 loan offices. In September of 1988, the bank again renamed to the First Bank Financial Center, brought on by continuous growth into a variety of communities. The bank is still the second oldest operating bank in Wisconsin. I had the chance to go inside what used to be the Summit Bank because my dad is an accountant for Rockies. The building is now Rocky Rococo's headquarters. The picture that you are about to see are the many safes in this building, the same safes that were put up when it got built in 1868. As you may have noticed, some of them are really old. There was a burglary alarm down in the basement as well. And lastly, this is a picture of what the building looks like now, a Rocky Rococo headquarters building.
A corner that has changed many times is this corner, 103 North Main Street, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. This building originally started as a grocery store from 1884 to 1895. It was one of the first groceries, as that is what you needed to keep a city alive. Within 2 years, it changed to McDowell Packing Company, mainly for meats, in 1897. While many citizens relied on this corner for food, it stayed a meat company until 1960. It did change its name to J.A. Tesky & Company Meats in 1909, though. They were very popular for their meats and did very successful. A few years later, it changed to Palace Sweets after the meat store. For 26 years, it was known as that from 1916 to 1942. It did change its name in 1942 to Palace Cafe Sandwich and Ice Cream. The Palace of Sweets was very popular, especially with high school students. It was a big hangout for kids after school and on the weekends. After that, from 1953 to 2006, this corner jumped for many different businesses, some including a Walnut Inn in 1953, a J.H. Harrow Tavern in 1955, a Happy Corner Women's Apparel in 1971, a Wisconsin State Historical Society Architecture and Historical Inventor in 2005, as you see behind me right now, what is today a real estate office.
This corner of downtown Oconomowoc started as the Bell House Hotel in 1867. They built a hotel downtown because there was easy access to the stores and the lakes that were in Oconomowoc. The hotel was very successful because of the location and the surroundings of the building. The hotel was in business for 8 years before it was burned to the ground in 1875. Then the Jones House Hotel was built to replace it in 1887, 12 years later. The Jones House Hotel was in business for 38 years. It was very successful and a lot of people enjoyed having a hotel in the middle of Oconomowoc. It was very convenient. After 38 years of the Jones House Hotel, it was renamed to the Majestic Hotel in about 1925. The Majestic Hotel was owned by Mrs. Cole and later was renamed the Oconomowoc Inn. These postcards are of the lobby and the main dining room. It was a very fancy and expensive hotel during the 1930s. There was also postcards from 1957 when it was called Towney Hotel. It was renamed the Towney Hotel in 1960. Many people visited the hotel, including important people from the United States. John F. Kennedy was at the hotel shaking hands with people while campaigning for president. Nowadays, there is no hotel there. In fact, it is just green grass and open space where you can clearly see Fowler Lake. In the future, Oconomowoc is going to make it a village green where you can walk and see Oconomowoc's beauty. A main reason why we chose downtown Oconomowoc is because it is very historic. Did you know many Native American tribes lived the area surrounding our lakes? While the settlers arrived, they traveled these same trails. Two of the major trails intersected at what became the Four Corners in downtown Oconomowoc.
Well, you can tell everybody.